Bonnie's favorite music. She loves the Polynesian music.
Oops.
The music of her people.
Or some other island.
Or some other island somewhere. Thanks for joining, guys. We are Rumble Pop Live edition. I want to thank you for being on and popping in. So sorry for all the hecticness today. And just Chris survived a tornado. So there you go. He punched it right in the face.
Yes, he did.
Which is interesting.
I went to punch, but missed, but hit the wall. So I hurt my hand a little bit. But yeah, I scared that tornado. I was like, yeah, bitch, get away.
That tornado had it coming. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Everybody say hi to my mom and dad.
Hi, Mama and
Hi,
Papa.
Mom and Dad.
Hello, everybody. Well, it's just Mom and Dad. So, hi, Mom and Dad. Thanks for hanging with us. I know it's super late there.
Others are coming.
Literally, Chris was fighting for his life. How many times do you think you punched that tornado?
Well, like I said, I kept missing, but I punched at it about 7 or 8.
Yeah. You should have used this.
It was dodging pretty good. It was pretty agile. It was like, kept missing.
Right through the tornado.
Like, yeah.
And that tornado's like, bitch. And you're down there going, yeah, take it.
See, now you don't even have to go see the new movie because you just lived through it.
Yeah. Saving you money. You're welcome, by the way. I don't know how. You're welcome, but... Hey, Cage. Oh, it's... Arame? Arame?
Arme. It's Arme.
Arme. Well, then why is there an A in there?
Well, you have to understand, the name is spelled... It's spelled the certain way, but it's not pronounced the same way.
I'm sorry. You're going to have to change your name and spelling. Or...
No. Look.
Wait,
That's
what do you... Do you got a nickname? Like Chuck?
Chuck? No.
No, okay. All right. Obviously, you didn't see the movie. There was this guy, and he had this this name, and he was like, but I'm working on a nickname. And they were like, what? And he was like, Bob. I think it was something like that. Anyway, whatever. It's a joke. Hello, Grace. Good to see you.
What's up, Grace?
Hi, Janet. Thank you for today. Mr. Sean, and that wasn't sexual, guys. Don't think be weird. Mr. Sean, thank you for being here. I'm in. He says, so far, so like, as in the button, folks. Yes. Oh, like the gorilla? That's your nickname? Harambe? What is it, Harambe? It's Harambe, right? That was the gorilla?
No, well, yes, but that's not his nickname.
I don't know. That's just what he says. I don't know.
You misunderstood.
Okay. Well, you can. It's in text. It's very hard to understand. I can guarantee you that. Yeah. So thanks for joining. We are doing mythology in pop culture.
Yes.
Today actually was a learning point for a lot of us. Chris learned how to thunder punch a tornado, and
Yes.
Bonnie learned what a daisy chain was. So this
God,
was
I hate you so much.
this was good all the way
I hate
around.
you so much for that.
That's why we were a little late, is I was having her look it up so she could.
I can't believe that you did that to this young woman. That you disturbed her with such crazy information.
Hey, we're going after Lemon Party next, Bonnie.
I hate you so much right now.
And we're going to talk about these darn two little sassy girls in that one cup. Don't look up any of those, by the way, anybody. Mom and Dad especially. Do not look those up, please. I can hear it now.
To this day, I've never looked that up because I heard about how horrible it is.
Yeah, but remember I looked it up and showed you?
No, you never did.
And you were like, give me that, and you ran into the closet.
No.
And you didn't come out for like 20 minutes.
Mm-mm.
It was weird.
Mm-mm.
I don't know. Via, hello. Good to see you on. Geez, it's good to have everybody here. We're gonna have a great time, everybody.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yes, we are. And real quick, let me give the quick intros. The man in that headset, he's insane. He says some of the craziest and nastiest things, but for reasons unknown to me, he is desirable to many women. He is desirable to many types of people, and he is resistant to pain like no other. He is the original Dom.
I do have a high threshold for pain, actually, so that's good and bad.
It's good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we go to a man who is a brave man, one of the bravest men, but also one of the most learned men in America today. Not only can he teach you the great arts of thespianism and acting, he can also teach you how to save your life and avoid cyclones. He is Professor Chris D. Turner.
Thank you. I'm humble.
And of course, last but not least, a fine young lady from that great state of Arizona. A lady, if you cross her, you will suffer the consequences of Cobra Kai martial arts.
Oh, shit.
And she's also a top 10 Polynesian dancer on the west coast of the United States today. Give it up for the greatest of cat mothers, the silent killer. She is Miss Bonnie Tubb.
Wow, that like boosted that applause. That applause was heavy, guys.
Yes, it was. And of course, you know me, your humble podcaster, your humble servant, the Grand Master of the Jedi and Vulcan arts, your Supreme Chancellor, Brother Kevin. Now, Donald, I know right now you're very anxious to truly pull out something very, very stupendous upon the people.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a comic. You thought it was going to be something else, didn't you? Ah, perverts. Okay, so it's really quick to this week. In general weekend, I had a lot going on, including being doped up and laying in a hospital bed, which was awesome. Let me tell you what. I still got the stupid IV in my arm. Sucks. Although I feel like it's better here in the elbow than here.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
It feels better. The only thing that sucks is the whole not quite as much mobility because you can't really bend your arm completely. But otherwise, as far as pain factor is concerned, so much better. So guys, if you can get it, put it in here.
Oh,
man.
the hand's the worst.
Hand's the worst. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me that much.
Oh, that's a night. Yeah, Kevin, it's night and day. I'm telling you now. You try the elbow, the little crack in here in the elbow, the butt crack at the elbow. You won't go back. You try that butt crack. You won't go back.
When I was in the hospital for my surgery, they had to keep redoing my IVs. And I had IVs in both hands and the elbows and my legs. And let me tell you, the hands are the absolute most painful IVs you're ever going to get. They're in. Oh.
Yeah,
I guess for me it's different that it didn't bother me.
Yeah, I had one. Yeah, like right there.
My name's Kevin.
One time, and it was the worst.
Built different.
But yeah, I usually like when I get my drone, it's always like when I donate, it's always out of my left, and I'm left-handed, which sucks. I always tell them, if you can get my right, that would be preferred because I'm left-handed, and you know, suck. And they try for a vein over here, doesn't work. I always end up having to go with my left, and it's always the outside vein. It's never the one that's like.
Shout out.
Yeah, It's always this one.
Shout out for the left-handers. Yeah. Bonnie, lefty, yes.
You're not a full lefty, Kevin, so don't act like it.
It's like I am a left and right hand. Both
oh,
left and right
so no.
Ambi.
No, yeah, that's a whole different class.
Yes,
yeah.
ambidextrous.
So you can't go, my left-handed people. No.
Grace, the comment section. You're left-handed. You don't know.
Because no, she knows what Bonnie's talking about, and Bonnie knows what she's talking about. But you don't know what either one of them go through on a daily basis because you can do this and not have a problem.
That's true.
There we go.
Yeah.
Mansplained.
That wasn't mansplaining. That was just like
full circle to things nobody else knows anything about but us.
Oh,
it's the best.
My gosh.
Anyway, okay, here we go. This is The Domain, the classic hero like you've never seen before. It's by Zdarsky, Chip Zdarsky. Yeah, I don't understand the whole crossed out the names and put new names over top of them. Maybe they tried to write there or create this story before. I don't know. All I know is a very uninspired story of we found a dying alien and we're taking its technology and now we have superpowers. Green Lantern much. I don't know. Nothing screaming at me that this is really that good of a story, unfortunately. I really expected more. In the hopes that Zdarsky turns it around, because I do believe in him as a writer. I think he's a very great writer. I'm going to give it a 5.5, based on the fact that I believe there's something here that he can do. Have I found it yet in this first issue? No. But am I going to read the second? Yes. So we'll see come second issue how things pan out. Next is if you have an old lady that's like a vampire that steals souls or some shit. It's Soul Taker. It's not good. Don't bother. It's by Mad Cave, as in mad to have created this story. That's not very good. So Soul Taker, pass on that. Give it a 3.5. Not great. Waste of money. We should be allowed to take comic books back, right? Like there should be like.
I agree.
I feel like there should be like a comic book buyback program, to where if you read a comic and you don't like it and it sucks, like the shop would buy it back for like maybe like $1. You know, if it's within the same week or some shit. I don't know. There has to be something that can be done. And I get it, like, you know, oh, you bought the book or whatever. But books are different because book is a whole story and you know everything, you know, and the people that have read it are giving their opinion based on the whole story. Whereas with these, you know, it's usually 1 or 2 issues and nobody knows much of anything. So it's harder to gauge these. So give us our money back. Soul Taker #1, Mad Cave. The publisher should do it, actually, not the comic shop, by the way. It should be the publisher. That published the book should do something. But that's it. It's a short week for me. I didn't get to read much. I was very busy, and I didn't have a lot of time to pull out.
And now, is it now time for brother Professor Chris Turner to testify and spill that sweet tea on vacation spots on this beautiful planet?
Yes, unfortunately, I have no actual tea today. I have water.
Oh.
Wow. That's embarrassing.
But you're going to want to drink water. It's the place I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about a place called the Island of Eternal Spring. So based on our theme that we're going with today, we're going to talk a little bit about mythology and stuff like that. I wanted to talk about an island, a place in the world where some mythological movies were shot. So I was thinking of Clash of the Titans, Wrath of the Titans, the new ones, the Sam Wilkinson ones. It was shot, took place in Greece. But it was shot in an island in Spain, near the coast of Africa, called the Canary Islands. And the island, it was Canary Island is 7 islands. There's the biggest. There's Lanzarote there, which is the hottest island. There's Fuerteventura. There's La Palma, La Gomera, Gran Canaria, and El Hierro, and Tenerife, which is the largest of all of the Canary Islands.
I don't have any pictures for this, do I?
No, you do not. This is an audible that I called.
All right,
you want to see?
No, I'm just gonna pull up pictures of random things.
That's fine.
And we're gonna pretend
Tenerife.
like that's what we're talking about.
Pull pictures from last week, because we got some island pictures from last week. Pull those up.
Yeah. Tenerife. So basically, it's the largest of all the Canary Islands. The reason it's called the Island of Eternal Spring is because it's always mild temperatures all year round. Like,
here we go.
Every month of the year, it has. It's like in the 70s. degrees. It's the perfect like temperature all year round there. It's beautiful, and it's one of the most popular vacation destinations. And not only
Oh, it looks gorgeous.
I have no idea. I don't see what you're showing, so I can't say whether or not it's Tenerife or not. But just a couple of interesting facts about Tenerife. During you guys all know, you've all heard of, Carnival in other places like Brazil and other places, but Tenerife also has a huge carnival. It's called the Carnival of Santa Cruz, the Tenerife, and it's the biggest carnival in Spain. It's one of the biggest in the world, and it's 21 or it's 15 full days of parades and music and dance performances. It's huge. Other interesting things about it is it has black sand beaches because it's a volcanic island. Beautiful, beautiful black sand beaches. And, speaking of volcanoes, it has the third highest volcano in the world.
I see it. This is gorgeous.
And it actually it's the largest. It's the third largest volcano, but it also makes the largest shadow, like in the ocean in the world.
I can see that.
Very
large.
So, and also other interesting things. So it has one of the biggest water parks in the world.
Indoor?
Outdoor.
Oh.
It's Siam Park, SIAM, Siam Park, and it was named the #1 water park in the world 9 years in a row. There are 2 airports to fly there. It's great for hiking and for beaches. There's a UNESCO World Heritage Site called the Laguna. There's a 1.5 mile beach called what was it called? It was it's called El Medano, MEDOANO, El Medano, longest beach in Tenerife, 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles on the south coast of the island. It's crystal clear water, gold gray sand, so there has multiple different sands depending on where in the beach you go. And the capital is Santa Cruz. And the most interesting thing I think on the island is, based on where it's located, like I said, it's close to Africa. There are indeed pyramids in Tenerife.
Oh.
So
Whoa. You sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I can find them.
They're called the Pyramids of Gumar.
I found it.
There are 6 pyramids built from lava stone, and each of them is around 13 feet high.
Truly breathtaking.
Donald.
What? What? No, but I love how many pyramids did you say, Chris?
You said 13, right?
No, there are 6.
You sexy? I mean 6?
And there are 13 feet high.
Oh, 13 feet high. That's what you said. 13 feet high.
Okay.
Yes.
Is any of these pyramids, now hear me out, is any of these pyramids named like Snake Mountain by chance?
Well, Snake Mountain was not a pyramid. You're thinking of Mumra's pyramid from Thundercats.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. My bad.
No, I don't believe so. But if you guys, if you're ever looking for a nice vacation and you want to spring any time of the year between 70 and 80 degrees, Tenerife is the place to go.
What's the cost there?
How much does it cost to go there?
How's the dollar stand up over there?
It's the euro, so it's not a great conversion right now. But when it comes to European countries, it's one of the cheaper ones. It's not as cheap as Portugal, but when you're looking at comparing it to other parts of Spain, it's a lot cheaper than
Yeah,
other parts of
remember
Spain.
when we were looking at Spain and we were like, we should just go to Portugal because there's a lot of similarities and it's cheaper. So I can see
Portugal's
why.
gorgeous too.
Yeah, I can see why people choose Portugal. To be honest, yeah.
Yeah, Portugal's the cheapest, definitely the cheapest destination. But I mean, one of the reasons that it is a popular destination in Europe is being like besides Portugal, Portugal is becoming one of the number one locations in the world right now, especially for
Really?
Americans. Right now, it's Portugal and Costa Rica are like the number one and number two places to go.
Why do you think that is?
Cost.
Okay.
Costa Rica, you get a mix of beach and you get a mix of rainforest. Same with Portugal. You get beach. There's a whole wine area.
Portugal. That's where port came from, correct?
Well, it's near Porto.
Yeah.
But it's a little more inland. It's the river valley that goes through Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a nice diverse population. And they also have the Madeira Islands and the Azore Islands, which are amazing and look like Jurassic Park, and it's really crazy.
Nice.
It's super cheap. And it's one of the few places in which is interesting because Tenerife is also one of these islands are one of the few islands you can actually find all-inclusive resorts. So a lot of people like to go there for that. So if you're looking at Spain, this is one of the cheaper options, and it's the Canary Islands are really the only place you can go to in Europe in the winter time. That would be nice and not like cold. Like Europe, people think everywhere, Greece, all those places, they get cold. But if you go to the Canary Islands, because of where they're located, almost Africa, you're still in Europe, but it's a little bit warmer. Like I said, Tenerife always feels like spring. It's always between 60 and 75, 80 degrees. And that's where and there's lots of locations that were doubled for Greece there.
Oh, nice.
For like say Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans and other movies.
Whoa! Clash the Titans, you say?
Yeah, the remake.
The remake. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know a lot about the remake, but the original, I do know quite a bit. Like, I'm a big fan of the original Clash of the Titans. In fact, I think I have the poster here. One of the posters of Clash of the... Yep, there it is. It's Perseus and with Medusa's head and the Pegasus in the background and a lovely lady chained to a rock, it looks like, in the background. So that was Harry Hamlin. Was the original Perseus in Clash of the Titans.
Yeah. The original was shot at the 007 stage in Pinewood Studios in the UK. And they also shot in Cornwall.
It came out around the same time as the second Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back. Am I correct on that? Came out No. It came out around the same time. I didn't say anything about it.
Clash came out in 81, so...
Yeah.
Empire came out in 1980. But yeah, close enough.
So, like people were expecting. So they've got they had Star Wars and then they had The Empire Strikes Back. So you had two of the hugest like science fiction fantasy films like back to back that could show you what a budget would do. And sure, they worked with miniatures and stuff also. But primarily, it was the industrial light and magic that impressed the box office and impressed the audience within theaters. So when Clash of the Titans came out, it came out to a rather lackluster, disappointing box office due to the fact that a lot of people at that point then saw stop motion as archaic. They saw it no longer as a special effect. They saw it more as a lazy joke, which in fact is completely the opposite. It is a beautiful art form, and Harryhausen poured his entire life's career into doing this, and that's why he's known above pretty much everybody else when it comes to the stop motion world. He is the gold standard for stop motion, for claymation, and for monsters. He did it for a long time. I think wasn't it the original Mighty Joe Young, if I recall, was when he first fell in love with the idea of stop motion.
Stop motion? I believe so.
And then he started to work with the guy that I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. That originally did Mighty Joe Young, because he wanted to learn from him. And then that's one of those things where the student has become the master, so to speak. And Harryhausen kind of just ran with it. So we have Clash of the Titans. Now let me ask you this question, because this one's always kind of stumbled me with it. We have Calabash, right? Calabash was the devil-like creature. He was deformed and tormented. I can't remember. I think it was by who is it? Hera. I think she tormented and kind of perverted him, if I recall, or if it was Zeus. I'm not 100% on this one. I'm sorry, guys. But I know Mr. Sean will probably know that, since he's also a big fan. But we have Calabash here, right? So obviously a human. It's a guy with prosthetics on, yeah? And he looks super cool, right? He looks super freaking cool. So why did they feel the need then to go ahead and do Calabash also as a stop motion character within the film? Like, do you think... I think it was probably because the idea of him talking and stuff didn't make much sense when it came to the claymation, trying to mimic the mouth patterns of a full-on speech pattern of a quasi-human type character. It just didn't work. It didn't sync well, so they decided to split it and do both. Or maybe they just thought that since Harryhausen was so popular, they wanted him to create as many characters as possible. Even if they had already done or shot certain things, they could go in and put his stuff in its place, maybe? I don't know. I don't know with 100% certainty on that one, but I always found it kind of interesting that we have two versions of that character. We have the stop-motion version, and we have the prosthetic version. I'm going to go to the chats really quickly while we all think on that, because it's very important. Is it Aruma? Aruma? Cage, am I saying it right?
Arame.
Are you sure? Because
yes.
Arume. See, if it was Arume, wouldn't it be a capital A?
Oh, it's all about the pronunciation.
But you could put an E after it, right?
He says I got it.
Okay.
See?
All right. Well, I was close. Sammy's here. Thanks for joining, Sammy. Mr. Sean, he's sorry to Grace. That's great. Troy says, Philippe. Yes. Mr. Sean says, the domain sounds like Green Lantern for your description, taking advanced technology from... Yeah. I think you probably didn't hear me say that, or maybe I said it after you typed that. I'm not sure. Philippe says, also 300 Troy, Clash of the Titans. I look forward to the books, Donald. This is disgraceful, and Grace says very disappointed. I don't know if you're very disappointed in me, but I'm very disappointed in both of you for not coming and visiting me in the hospital. So there you go. Now we can all be disappointed. Thank you. Enrique, I'm not being mean. How am I being mean? I'm just saying. I'm being honest. And Enrique says, Donald, you can't be trusted on posting the pictures, LOL. I don't no idea what he's talking about there. These are totally the pictures from what I'm talking about. Mr. Shun says, let's not forget Jason and the Argonauts, especially the badass bronze statue, Talos, a Ray Harryhausen masterpiece. Yes, Mr. Sean, I actually had written a Talos, very much a Talos character, into a D&D campaign I was working on before I decided to kill myself, so to speak, within the campaign, if that makes sense. Not like in real life, obviously, because I'm still here. So, Big Sal's in the house. Hello, Sal. He says, Kevin, there's an eye watching your back. And Mr.
Yes,
Sean, it was
yes.
not unusual for Harryhausen and others to have a combo of up-close shots of a person in makeup, then long shots of a model version. Yeah, I mean, I guess if they couldn't do the fights, or if it was like monster versus monster or something, but I don't remember Calabash like fighting another. I don't know. It just doesn't. I always found that one to be odd, specifically for maybe no reason. I don't know, Mr. Sean. And then Big Sal says, I got your Talos right here, Donnie. Oh, thanks, Big Sal. That's very nice of you. I appreciate that very much. Anyway, moving on. Sorry about that. Okay, so Chris, anything else to say about your vacations before we wrap that up?
No, not really. I mean, I think I talked a lot about it. If you guys are interested in booking a trip there, just so you know how to get a hold of me. DM me or find me on Facebook. Or want some more information, anything like that, you know where to find me. Tenerife. 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 Island of Eternal Spring. Always spring. That's like the role model. It's like, hey, you want spring break?
Right.
Go to Tenerife.
I think that's the right spelling. I don't know. Anyway, it's in the chat. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about a few things when it comes to mythology and pop culture. We're not just talking about Greek and Roman mythology. There is a lot of mythology out there, and that's basically lore. That's stories. It's tales. It's the history whereby either made up or inspired by events or things that happened in the past that either can be explained and you wish to ignore that part, or cannot be explained, or just to entertain as well. So there's a lot of stories, and sometimes it was just to kind of augment a certain person or character in life to make them bigger than what they were. In other words, I'm sure like there's a mythology about Babe Ruth, and not everything about Babe Ruth is true. Not everything, but most. To be honest, most. He was hell of a player, Babe Ruth. Who points to where they're gonna hit?
Confidence.
Yeah, right.
Confident man.
Super
confident.
confident. Like if you seen somebody do that today, you just freaking laugh, right? Like you would laugh. You would be like, "Oh my God, stop it!"
Well, there is an equivalent kind of today. Steph Curry, when he shoots a three-pointer, he just walks away because he knows it's going to go in.
Yeah, that's kind of cocky, though, right?
Yeah, look,
I think
hey,
Wells was
you got
pointing. You're right. Yeah, it's all semantics. Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so who wants to talk about something mythological within mythology? I was just talking. Chris was talking about locations.
Ladies first.
And then that was a great segue for me to talk about Clash of the Titans and some of the mythology within that, and talking about Harryhausen and his stop motion and stuff. So, Bonnie, would you like to go? Since Kevin threw you under the bus.
Kev, you did kind of throw me under the bus there.
At least he didn't mansplain it to you.
Oh, that's okay. You know what? I'm going to go with a little bit of some more modern mythology, if you will. Just fun storytelling in general. And movies that I think were really well done, that were based on the idea of chasing mythology or history, if you will. And it's a little bit of a twofer, I guess. I don't care. I'm hitting with both at the same time. We're going with National Treasure and The Da Vinci Code. Two fun modern stories, I think, that just, again, they fit into the idea of that mythology and storytelling really well. They both deal with history, American history, and lore. Actually, no, Da Vinci, not so much American. That's, yeah.
The screenshot that Kevin gave me does not look like anything but the start of a porn for the Da Vinci Code.
What?
That's National Treasure.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like right on the screen right now. The Da Vinci Code looks like it's the start of a lot of pornos.
Now I see it.
Yeah. Oh, are we going to get caught? Excellent choice, Kevin. Excellent choice. Excellent choice.
I think you're seeing a little too much into it. A little too much into that.
National Treasure.
That's hilarious.
Chris fell asleep while I watched it on the boat when we were on our cruise to Alaska. If I recall.
How could you fall asleep to National Treasure? That's a good movie.
Exactly.
Hey, it was my bedtime, okay?
Oh, old man.
Hey,
my
sway to the
bedtime.
boat, man. It does things. It makes you sleepy.
It's my bedtime. He kept asking, like, I had to stop the movie. I had to put it on mute and read him his story. One of his stories from his book before he would go to sleep. And then finally he drifted off and I was able to finish the movie. But, geez.
Speaking of the boat, Donald, our friends from the boat are watching the show right now. So, hi, guys.
Which friends?
Our boat friends, Zach.
And
That's right.
Tiffany?
Yeah, Zach and Tiffany, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't see him. How do you know?
Well, they're having issues with finding the comments, but they're texting me right now.
Oh, cool.
So,
well, hello, guys.
Shut them out.
Wow, good to see you guys or hear that you guys are watching us. And I apologize in advance for Chris's crude and crass behavior. It's very embarrassing. I do apologize for that. Yeah.
I'm sure it was his crude and
Hey,
crass behavior.
note to self: don't put any giant dildos up on the screen. Okay. Anyway, Bonnie, go ahead.
Yeah, anyways, National Treasure, we got, our history hunters, Nick Cage, chasing after this lore and mythology of the, founding fathers having known or been part of the Knights Templar somehow and passing on the mythology that there's this great treasure of world history hidden somewhere in the country, the depths of U.S. soil, and it's just so much fun. It really kind of gets your interest in history reignited if you're a history buff, or maybe hopefully gets people interested in the idea of exploring it in general if they weren't before. And Da Vinci Code kind of does the same thing, taking the lore of Leonardo da Vinci's inventions and his paintings and all these other things, and deciphering maybe there could be some hidden truths or things having to deal with early Christian lore and history and the mythos of Jesus and the apostles and all that. It's all fun and fascinating and interesting ways to, I think, take historical lore and bring it to modern audiences.
Okay. Which one do you prefer out of the two?
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the Da Vinci Code is more serious, where National Treasure is a little bit more popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a huge fan of the Da Vinci Code book and that whole Robert Langdon series by the author, and I felt like that one was just so well done. It's one of the best book to film adaptations, in my opinion.
Whoa. Go back. You think the Da Vinci Code film with Tom Hanks is one of the best
I do.
book to film
Okay, wait. Let me rephrase.
adaptations.
What?
Let me rephrase.
Okay.
Let me rephrase. I feel like it's one of the most faithful book to movie adaptations.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
I can't comment because I've never read the book. So.
Right. That's where she gets most of us right there, and she knows it. She damn well knows it. That none of us in this group besides her has read the book.
Yeah.
Read? Why do we read?
I feel like it's one of the best books. I don't mean I feel like it's top 5 or top 3. I mean it is one of the most faithful book to movie adaptations.
A lot of people,
or something where when I wasn't disappointed by it, because most book to movie anything you're going to be disappointed and just screaming that the book was better. Most of the time it's true. This is one where the book is always going to be better. However, I feel like this was still like pretty top notch. I wasn't disappointed by it, especially the final scene. When I saw that on screen, it was literally exactly what I had already pictured in my head when I was reading those final pages. So the whole thing, like the way it was shot, the angles, the lighting, the score, even all of it was exactly the way I had imagined it in my head when I was reading.
So Ron Howard
So
just
that
basically
kind of
stole
seals
your
the deal
thoughts.
for me, with that one being the better storytelling wise.
So Ron Howard basically stole your thoughts.
He did.
So let me ask you. A lot of people said that Tom Hanks was miscast. How do you feel about that?
I did not feel like he was. I really don't. Yeah, that was an argument with a lot of people, because people kind of envisioned him being a little bit more of an Indiana Jones type, because that is a little bit how he was described in the book. But he's not really. I think they took it a little too far with that, interpretation. I don't think he was meant to be like an Indiana Jones type in the literal physical sense, I don't think he was meant to be like an action star. And that's what people were, I think that's where people were upset with Tom Hanks, because Tom Hanks is not.
No one sees Adventurer when they see Tom Hanks.
Yeah. But
I get that.
Yeah. But that's also kind of what makes him a little bit more perfect for the role, because Robert Langdon, the character, was not meant to, everything that happens to him. He's just supposed to be like an ordinary guy. He's a Harvard professor. That's it. He's just, a Harvard professor who was a swimmer in his college years. Like, that was another big part of his character. It was like known that he was on his college swim team. And there were a lot of people that were just like, oh, Tom Hanks doesn't have the right physicality and not an action star. But he wasn't supposed to be. He wasn't supposed to be. He was just kind of.
It seems like they built him.
Average.
They built him up a little bit, though, right? Didn't they? Like, I mean, or maybe just people built him up in their head because they thought, okay, so he's an adventurer and he's a professor, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
know?
But see, like, Indy kind of sought out that adventure, though, whereas Robert Langdon didn't seek it out. It was thrust upon him. It wasn't a choice.
Okay, so he's a reactive character.
Yes. Yeah.
That's interesting. They wrote an entire book and made a film trilogy based on a reactive character.
I will say the rest of the trilogy, not great.
I didn't even watch the third one. There was one where some guy was beating himself with a chain or something on his back, and I was like,
wasn't that Vision that did that? Wasn't Vision beating himself to death?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Bettany.
Yeah, I think it was the guy.
No, it wasn't Paul Bettany. It was Vision.
Yeah, it was the
Vision.
dude that dude that got nude in the Knight's Tale. The nude crier or whatever that would tell the lore of the knight naked. I think that was this guy.
Paul Bettany was the one that.
Yeah, same guy. It's the
he
same
played
guy.
the priest.
Okay.
Now, honestly, the sequel movies that came out after, they were not nearly as good because they didn't follow the books at all. They kind of ripped them to shreds at that point.
That's stupid.
Yeah. There was a TV show at one point that followed, God, I can't remember which book it followed, but that was okay. It was close. But I lost interest really fast. There was just something with it wasn't really hitting. But yeah, the Da Vinci Code, first book, first movie, I thought it was great.
I remember this particularly when I asked you about the second, I think it was the second film, and you were like, not enough Tom Hanks booty. And I was like, what? Apparently, Bonnie
Because we all
expected more.
need some Tom Hanks booty in our lives.
Well, from what I remember you telling me is that in a trilogy, the second film is supposed to go that way sexually, and it did not, according to the books.
Oh, you mean between Tom Hanks and Paul Bettany?
Yeah. Wait, what? No. Maybe. I don't know. Was that it, Bonnie?
Audrey Tattoo?
Is Paul Bettany, Audrey Tattoo, and Tom Hanks daisy chain?
Oh, God.
I hate you so
Full circle.
much.
Full circle. Chris, thanks for that assist there.
Why now?
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Okay, who wants to go next,
Don't
guys?
encourage him.
Who wants to go next?
Nice layup there.
Yeah.
We go with the sports.
Professor.
What?
Go ahead, Kevin. I already talked about.
He just
Kennedy
talked
for a
about
while.
locations, and then Bonnie just
Yeah.
talked, and I talked in between. It's your turn, Kevin. Don't try to get out of this.
Donald's always talking, so.
It's true.
That's true. All right, let's do a kind of a combination of things. Two very dark characters from two very famous books and movie and TV adaptations. Let's go with The Night King and The Eye of Sauron. Sauron himself, I guess.
Sauron.
Okay, so Sauron
Yeah.
and the Night
Eye
King.
of Sauron and The Night King.
Is it under the?
Yes, probably.
No, it's under the Night King. Okay. Well, one's pretty cool, and one's went down like a bitch. So, take your pick on this one.
Yeah, which is really sad that he went out like that. Yeah, Night King did not get the justice he deserved.
Mm-mm.
Spoiler, everybody.
Spoilers.
Yeah. If you haven't seen a show that
But
ended 5 years ago, spoilers.
Remember, we just established it's 20 years.
Oh, that's right. Chris's establishment of spoilers is 20 plus years.
20 years. So we're
Yeah.
going to wait till like 2039 to talk about this.
No, we can talk about it. We just have to say "Mala" beforehand.
But basically, these characters, they're considered like well, I guess someone could argue with this on the Game of Thrones side, they're supposed to be the top antagonist, but maybe you could argue something else. But as far as the supernatural antagonist, the Night King was a very frightening figure. And basically, he represents, kind of like the mythology of the cold, a cold death that's just ominous, that's just coming for you, that you don't know if you can stop it. Can you escape it? Probably not.
Well, he represents the long night.
The long night.
Which is
the
the whole mythological thing within.
And then, the fact that he turns, you have the White Walkers, and then the White Walkers can turn regular people into whites, and to basically ice zombies, and just they can multiply. So it's kind of like a thing, kind of like a combination of a virus that's spreading, a parasite, but also it's the fact of also climate change. That can also be like a little metaphor as well. If you don't come together to do something about it, it's going to come take you over and destroy you. Winter is coming, right? Winter is coming, right? Winter is coming.
Nuclear winter.
Interesting theory that I just read about is that somebody came up with this theory that if anybody watches House of the Dragon, there's a character on there named Aemond Targaryen.
Right.
He's the king's brother, and there's a new theory that Aemond is the general with the long hair, part of the Night King's general
Army.
Oh.
Yeah, there's the guy with the long hair because he looks a lot.
Wait, doesn't he have an eye
like
patch
him,
though?
so. Yeah, well,
He did
I mean,
have an eye patch.
he has an eye patch, but he does have, but he's
him,
dead. He's undead.
That's
You
It's not
see him
him.
without an eye patch. You see him without an eye patch in the show. I mean, like he
not him.
doesn't have to wear an eye patch.
Yeah, but he doesn't
He
have an
only
eye
wears an eye
patch in that ice world, like the whole time. Like you think you'd
he
see
might
him
not-
maybe once with his patch on. If
He
he's
might not need. He's dead. He might not need an eye patch.
Yeah, zombie doesn't really need an eye patch.
I didn't see a scar. He has a scar on his face too.
Well, who knows?
I like the idea, but I don't know, man. We got a couple
I'm
comments.
just saying it's the
real
theory.
quick. Let me pull them up real quick. Nezzy says just popping in. Hello, Nezzy. Mr. Son says Bonnie, good choices on those. Stephen Paul says Tom Hanks is an incredible actor, along with the book, and the movie was definitely awesome. I honestly think you need to see the second and third before you can say that, because
What?
unfortunately, the way I see it is sequels can ruin the first film. They can
Oh,
just
that's very
ruin
true.
it. It just spits all over it and pisses and shits all over. It's terrible. So
Look at
The thing is though, with this series, you can very easily just forget about the sequels and let the first movie stand on its own, because they're not a continuation of
Why-
the same story.
but
It's
why
the
are you
same
so
character,
forgiving?
Yes, but each of the sequels, it's a standalone story.
So it's
you
like
can
James
just
Bond
scrap
almost.
them and pretend they never made them. The books themselves are still great, the sequel books, but just pretend that the movies based off of them don't exist anymore.
Oof. It would be like if the second and third Lord of the Rings were terrible. Nobody would be talking about the Lord of the Rings. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah,
it just
but the thing is with the Lord of the Rings, it's legitimately a package deal, though. You
Right.
can't have 1 and 3 and not 2.
Right.
Or just 1.
Well, yeah.
You know, it doesn't work that way. But for the Da Vinci Code and the sequels, Angels and Demons, and what was the other one that I think it was Inferno?
Yeah,
Was
Inferno.
yeah.
So you're saying like
I couldn't even remember what the third one was.
Do you remember?
Each of those are standalone stories, so you can have Da Vinci Code without Angels and Demons and without Inferno, and it still holds.
Okay, so let me ask you was it, and I'm only asking because I'm not 100% sure, was the first one, without spoiling things, which I'm sorry it's going to, with the main lady there, was
Audrey
it the
Tautou?
Yeah,
Tattoo.
thank you. Was it her walking on water in the first one, or was that like the second or third?
No, that was the first one.
That was the first one.
Yeah, the second one was the one with Ewan McGregor.
In Paul Bettany with the thing.
No, Paul Bettany was the first one.
Oh, he was in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in the first one.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was he the albino
The
monk?
only character who's a constant in all 3 movies is Robert Langdon, Tom Hanks' character.
Okay. So you can forgive it because they're all standalone.
Yes.
Okay.
So like James
Right.
so like James Bond movies are.
I get it. Okay. So how many Dan Brown, how many Da Vinci Code books are there?
Let's see. There was Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, Inferno, and then there's I think it was called Origin. 4.
4. So
Yeah.
the third one in theaters did so poorly that they didn't decide to do the 4th, right?
I believe so. Well, that and also the 4th book, which is set on U.S. soil. It's the first one that was set on U.S. soil because the rest of it was based different places around Europe. It took him several years to actually publish that one. That one didn't come out for a long time.
Okay. Hear me out on this. What if we did a crossover?
Oh, no, it was the Lost Symbol. 5. There's 5.
There's 5. Wow. So there's 2 we didn't get.
That's the one that's U.S. based. I'm wrong.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, the Lost Symbol, that's the one that took a really long time to come out. And
Zach.
that's the one that they made a TV series out of recently.
They made a TV series?
Out of the Lost Symbol, yeah. Yeah.
When did that air?
I want to say it's on Peacock now.
Oh, so it's recent? It's like
Within
Peacock recent.
Within the last 2 or 3 years, yeah.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And you haven't seen it yet?
Look it up. I started it, and then I quickly kind of fell out. I think I gotta revisit it.
Okay. Now,
because the thing is, it had been a while since I read the book, so I didn't remember too much of it.
Oh, okay.
So I have to look at it again.
So you have to refresh yourself with a book before you can compare it to the series.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Everybody's different, so that's what I'm asking. Also, did you watch the National Treasure series, TV series?
I did.
We talked about this, right? Yeah.
We have.
So and you enjoyed it as much as I did, if I recall.
I did. It wasn't perfect. It had its moments where it's a little, it's a little out there and a little wacky and silly, but it's still fun. It was great, and I love the fact that it had a female protagonist.
Yeah, and even the bottle episode was fun because within that bottle episode, which is usually kind of whatever because that they're just like on a budget, they made it with the sidekick coming in and being part of that episode. So it was a full episode with him and her. And him kind of assisting her. So it kind of gave credence to her character and closure to people from the film series as well, just in case, which I enjoyed that. Really quickly, though, Zach Cisner. Zach, this is Zach, right? This is Zach? Zach. I would have loved to see Brendan Fraser in the role, a little bit of The Mummy, a little Inkheart, a little Journey to the Center of the Earth, but more serious. Perfect. I think he's referring to the Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. You know what? I don't hate that idea.
No, that would have been fantastic, actually.
Yeah, he's about the right age. He would have been, and yeah, that could have worked for sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been upset at that one.
Mr.
I
Sean.
still think Tom Hanks was perfect in my opinion, but Brendan Fraser, I wouldn't have been mad at that at all. That would have worked out really well, I think.
I think Tom Hanks went about it in the wrong way. I think he should have played the character of the coach from A League of Their Own being
As Robert.
There's no crying in the vent, Jacob.
Right, yeah,
There's
yeah.
no crying in the vent, Jacob.
Yeah. Mr. Sean says, zombie eye patch, wasn't that a Zappa-tune? It absolutely was. Janet says, can't help but love that Da Vinci Code. Love Audrey and Tom Hanks also. Philippe says, Game of Thrones. Janet says, correct, Bonnie. Lost Symbol show from 2021, streaming on Peacock.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Janet, have you seen it? The whole thing? Because now I'm curious if I should try it out. Because I've never seen this. I watched the second movie, but I never watched the third. Do you have to have seen? I know that each one kind of stands on its own, but I don't know about the series, if it ties into, if there's a callback to any of the other, and let's be real, I'm not reading any of these books. So does it call back to the third movie, or the second, or the first? Is there something else I need to watch? Or somebody else that's in here in the chat that would say, hey,
Honestly,
I need to watch this first?
Just basing it on the books, I think you're probably fine.
Okay.
Because even the books themselves are relatively standalone. You could read them out of order and be fine.
Mm-hmm.
There are some callbacks within the books, from like one story to the other, but it might be like one line. It's not anything.
Okay.
Major. It's not fully threaded, if you will.
And I mean, I don't know about the show, but I mean, unless you're like Marvel or Star Wars, usually people aren't going to expect people to have seen movies to understand
Exactly.
the TV show. So you're probably pretty safe, especially since it's different actors playing the characters.
True.
Yeah, it's
Janet
definitely
confirms,
not like Marvel Universe type, wedding together.
Janet says it stands alone, so it confirms. And poor Kevin is just sitting there peacefully waiting for us to shut up so he can finish talking about.
We kind of hijacked it.
I'm sorry, Kevin. Go ahead. My apologies.
I think the other part of it was the Eye of Sauron. Basically, the Eye of Sauron represents omniscience, perception, the dark gaze. I think it may have been based on the eye of like an Irish character, the Irish myth, Eye of Baelor, the eye that wreaks destruction when the eye is opened. So
that's a good thought.
Yes, the Eye of Sauron is there. It's ominous. It's watching. You can't escape.
Now,
power.
Let me ask you, Kevin, when you first watched the films and we only saw Sauron in like a quick flashback, were you pissed? Were you like, this is bullshit? Like, why don't we, like, it's just an eye.
Bit.
You know what I mean? Like,
a little bit.
But then when you, now looking back, you're like, wow, what masterful storytelling for you to be completely paralyzed by just this stupid glowing eye in this tower. Mm-hmm. You know? And just the thought of what he has done scares you. You know? And scares everybody within all the realms. It is really quite fascinating when you think about it.
That's true.
Nobody's like that. In any story, really. Just that one.
Yeah. Have any of you guys seen the Rings of Power TV show where they explain how all that happened?
Not yet.
Is it any good? I've heard mixed things about it.
Did the second season come out?
It's coming out soon-ish.
Okay.
I think it's this month sometime. It's amping up because they're doing like trailers and all that stuff. Interesting thing is that show was also shot in Tenerife. But yeah, so they have an origin of where the eye came from and Mount Doom and all that stuff, and it was just pretty cool. That part's pretty cool.
Can you give us a 30-second recap on that part?
No, I don't want to spoil it. It's way too soon to spoil.
Fine.
And I would say, guys, if you like Lord of the Rings, check it out. It's worth a watch. It does take some getting into it, but once it gets going, it gets going.
Some of the characters are
kind of,
yeah.
But it's enjoyable. It's the most expensive TV show ever shot, so it looks great. Some of the acting's a little and some of the choices they make are a little
Right.
but it's it's enjoyable for what it is.
And remember, everybody, if you bought anything from Amazon, you helped fund that series, so you should watch it. It's a true story. I'm an investor. I'm a heavy investor in
Oh, me too.
the Rings of Power.
Me too. Yeah.
So is Chris. Yeah.
My membership's
Just-
actually paused at the moment, but I need to reinstate it so I can.
Just today, I paid someone's wages.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too, Chris. Me too. Oh man, I gotta tape this to the wall and back into it, I think, in order to get in the spots I need. It should come with the Amazon driver, and they just have it in their hands, and they're like, all right, let's get this over with. And you just open the door and back up, and then like 10 minutes, like that. I think it'd be great.
Here's a crazy idea.
Hmm.
Hire a task rabbit.
That is kind of a great idea.
Yeah.
I was gonna hire a task rabbit to do something for me, but it was so much more than me doing it myself. And I'm also from the Midwest, so I think I can do everything myself. It's a bad habit we have. So I could do it myself. Yeah. So yeah. I thought about that. Or
Yeah.
we like I said, we daisy chain it. That's part of it. That was the start of the daisy chain.
Can we just not call it a freaking daisy chain?
Well, we can't not
Not.
now. I mean,
Can we not?
you were absolutely fine with calling it a daisy chain when we first started this evening with us massaging each other's backs.
I never once in my life heard that reference. So I thought maybe it was one of your crazy Midwestern things. Maybe it was a regional term.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there is an actual non-dirty version of daisy chain as well, but Donald
Yes,
does
there
not know
is.
it. So
Well, no,
There-
I do
there
know
it
it
is.
now. I didn't know
Now,
it before.
yeah.
we all
Yeah.
know that that's not what he was referring to because he is Donald.
Hey, Kevin,
Yes.
who's your favorite character in Lord of the Rings?
You know what? I kind of like Saruman, believe it or not. As strange as it sounds.
The White Wizard.
Yeah, the Christopher Lee's character. Him and also Gandalf. I kind of like the two of them, Gandalf and Saruman. I like both of them.
Yeah, I mean, geez, without Ian McKellen's Gandalf, like the stark comparisons of Gandalf the Grey with Gandalf the White, it's like crazy to me how it's the same dude, and yet I don't care much for Gandalf the White. I find him to be cold. But Gandalf the Grey, I love. I love that motherfucker. Like, he's so kind and warm and loving, but so strong when he needs to be. And then Gandalf the White is just all like a wall of action. Like, if he's there, shit's going down, With the Grey, he's smoking pipe, making ships and shit, going through stuff, He's fun. Gandalf the White, not fun at all. No. Wherever he's at, shit's about to pop off, and I don't want to be any part
but Gandalf
of that.
the Grey fought the Balrog,
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's badass.
so you got to give him credit for that.
Well, no, I love Gandalf the Grey. That's what I'm saying. He's my favorite. Like, not my favorite character, but my favorite Gandalf is Gandalf the
Okay.
Grey, if I have to choose.
I'm just saying that, the Grey, he could throw down too. It wasn't just Gandalf the White.
What about Arwen? That's Sammy's favorite character.
She's pretty great.
Arwen's great.
She's pretty badass.
Yeah. She's a fun character.
My
Jeez.
soft spot is for Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah. I mean, he's the true hero of the entire
Yes,
of the
he
entire
is.
show.
It wouldn't have
Yeah.
The
been
entire
done without
book
him.
series. Yeah. I think they asked Tolkien at one point, and he said Samwise was the linchpin of it.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's true. I may have made that up in my head, but it sounds like something he would have said. So we'll just go with it.
And of course, he also gave us potatoes.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Via says 1,000 out of 10. Lord of the Rings. Rings of Power was amazing. She's a fan. Via, do you prefer the Rings of Power over House of the Dragon? Because not many do. I'm just asking for a friend. Okay, anyway. Anything else, Kevin, you want to talk about between these two before we move on?
That's it.
That's it? For sure?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll come back with something else.
Which one's your favorite? Do you prefer Game of Thrones or do you prefer Lord of the Rings?
Slightly Game of Thrones.
Mm.
Even after the disrespect of the last 2 seasons. But when I count House of the Dragon, put it together, it's kind of renewed my faith in the Game of Thrones overall series.
Well, they took some time. They took some time
Yes.
off, and they passed it off to some people that probably had
Knew
some
what they were
love
doing.
for the characters, knew what they were
And knew
doing,
what they were doing.
and they
Not
probably
Dumb and
signed a
Dumber.
contract that they couldn't bail like halfway
Right.
through and do
like
other
Dumb
shit.
and Dumber.
Right.
Yeah, like Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then they finally, sorry, it's a little bit of a slight spoiler for House of Dragons, barely. They gave us a 30-minute dragon fight. I mean, who could ask? That's all we were out wanting for 10 years.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's
It was
pretty
a
good.
beautiful thing.
I have not seen
It
it.
was beautiful.
I need to get back into it,
Yeah.
but I think I have to rewatch the first season or at least watch the highlights. So if anybody has a good link on highlights of the House of Dragon, please share that within the feed. That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Or Donald, if you want to just watch it, it's on Plex.
Yeah, that's a lot to invest in time.
It's only 10 hours.
I watched Civil War. I think it was Civil War. Wasn't that the name of it? Off Plex. The one with Kirsten Dunst.
With Jesse Plemons, and who should have won an Oscar for it. His
Jesse?
amazing role. Jesse Plemons, yeah.
He was in for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, but I think as like a supporting actor, I think that was an amazing acting in that scene.
No, I wouldn't even have considered that. That's too short of a time. That's like worse than Kim Basinger
featured actor
in L.A. Confidential. You know what I mean? She was in it for like 2 seconds, and then got all the accolades, if I recall. And now everybody's like, no, why? So go figure. Sammy says, I've still only watched 2 full episodes of Game of Thrones, but I've seen clips and have tons spoiled. I get that she wasn't in the books much, but I love her. Poor Sam, he put up with so much. What's Taters, precious? And Big Sal's LOTR. Lord of the Rings, of course. Janet says, I did an audition from one of Samwise's soliloquies as a monologue for a theater audition. LOL. That's awesome.
I love that.
And she said it was from The Two Towers. And then Janet is giving little hearty hearts, I think, to Chris. Little hearts. To Christopher. All right, so we've talked about locations. We've talked about films. We've talked about television and stuff. What else is there for us to discuss? What can we mention that would kind of make... I talked briefly about stop motion animation too when it came to Ray Harryhausen. So we've got a nice variety going on here. One thing that I would like to mention is, we talked about stop motion animation. What about on the reverse? What about puppets? Puppetry. This is something near and dear to both Chris and mine's heart. It's something that we both love. Both of us have had puppets within either it be a film or a web series or a short film. Him and I have somehow been able to include puppetry into that. And for those of you that are wondering what kind of puppetry I introduced, I will post the link in the chats here momentarily. But it would have been for season 4, the final season of the Blue Beetle series, in which he battles a djinn, which is in the shape of a giant evil bunny rabbit. So I think it's quite crazy and fun in that series. So I'll post that here in a little bit. But we're talking about Jim Henson's storytellers. Now, this was an idea that Jim Henson had to where he would be telling stories from mythology and from just like slanted history when it comes to certain characters and stuff. And one of my favorites was when this gentleman, this wanderer, procured a sack, and he could
Yes, Zach.
have anything or anyone get inside, like this sack. He could pull out. I think wasn't it he could pull out money, or he could. It was a magic sack basically. So anything that he desired would be within that sack. So at one point, he was rich and he was happy, but someone he loved was dying, and he thought it unfair that death was taking someone that was near and dear to him. So he decided to find death and tell death to get inside the sack. And unable to defy the will of the magic around the sack, death was then cast forth into said sack, and an interesting thing took place after that, in that nobody could die. And at first, everybody was extremely happy, particularly the gentleman that owned the sack, because those near and dear to him could no longer pass on. And it was a wonderful victory. But as time rolled past and years rolled past, many realized that it was also quite a curse. Imagine, if you will, and knock on wood that this doesn't happen, but somebody gets run over by a car. And, their legs are totally mangled, their heads busted open, they should be dead. They're flat, their face is flat, there's tread marks on their face, right? They don't die. They're still alive. Now, can they move? No, absolutely not. Can they do anything? No. Can they talk? No. Are they in total immense amounts of pain? Yes. Can they die? No. So it's trying to teach you a lesson in that death is an important part of life, and thereby should not be excluded from the equation when it comes to life and happiness and a cycle, so to speak. It's kind of a chain. Could we call it a daisy chain? Possibly. A life daisy chain, in a way. A life and death. So in that, the mythology of death, of this sack, of this story, of this king, all comes to a head and teaches us all a valuable lesson. And that's what every episode basically was about in Storytellers. Another one, of course, was the infamous stone soup idea, where you could use stones and make a delicious soup out of it. And they do tell that story as well. So there's a lot of mythology and just a lot of tall tales that were put into this with care and love. And they did the Storytellers, and then they did another season of the Storytellers, but it was mythology based. The first one, who's the gentleman? I'm so bad with his name. He's on the screen right now. Is it Richard? It's not Richard Harris. It's what's his name? He played the War Doctor. Good Lord. But I believe, if I recall, Michael Gambon then was the second storyteller when it came to the stories of mythology. So he told a lot of Greek and Roman mythology tales for the second storytellers, the reboot, so to speak, to try to up the audience participation, so to speak, with the numbers and the Nielsen ratings, which were pretty abysmal. So it didn't happen. It didn't work. And ultimately, it was canceled and quietly put away. But it was sad to see that it got retired, because it was such a fun series, and it taught us a lot about mythology, and it taught us a lot about storytelling, just from a narrative standpoint alone. It was just very well done, and the puppetry was fantastic. I'm gonna go over.
Yeah. Have you seen the any of the they redid it, or they brought it back in comic book form? Have you read any of them?
No, I haven't. No, I know what you're talking about.
So I know they have they have one that's giants, they have one that's fairies, they have a new Myths one. They have they have like 5 or 6 different series.
Yeah, I want to say it was Boom, or I think it was Boom that did it, that did the Storyteller series. Yeah, because I think they also did the Dark Crystal
They
series
did,
as
yes,
well.
yeah.
John Hurt, thank you, Sammy. John Hurt. Stephen Paul says you guys had the same haircut, Donald. I had the same haircut as a 70-year-old man. Thank you, Stephen Paul. I'm sure you also look amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. Why am I always the one getting the comments? Like, what's the shit? What the shit? Or wait, maybe he's talking about the dog. Yeah, that could work too. I do have a shaggy beard. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't get offended unless maybe he's talking about the dog, which I'm fine with, actually. Dog's fine. I still think my favorite Storytellers episode was the one with the sack, and I think the devils playing a part in the storytelling role. They had these little devil creatures that he created, and when I was younger, they were the creepiest little things that you ever saw.
Yeah, the devils. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you ever get a chance to watch that episode, I highly recommend it. But it's a great series. It is available. I don't know if it's on Blu-ray, but it's available on DVD, and you could probably stream it at some point, someplace also.
Yeah, that was the very first episode of the show with the devils.
Yep,
and the
I think
sack.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a single episode of this.
It's so good.
Yeah. The stuff
It's really good.
It's really good. Yeah. For like just to watch how they do it with puppetry and stuff, it's really really well done.
And it has the dog from Fraggle Rock in it.
It does. You're right. It does. It carried over. They did. There's a lot of winks and nods in there too that you wouldn't expect, which is nice. Oh, thank you, Enrique. He says, your hair looks fierce, Donald. I appreciate that. See, this is why I wear hats. Guys, thank you. Appreciate that very much. Kevin's wearing a hat. He doesn't want people to make fun of his hair, I guess. But it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. Okay, moving on. Anybody else want to talk about anything?
Sure. I'll talk a little bit about, while we're talking about TV, film, book adaptations and Greek mythology, it would be dumb of me not to mention Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. You know, it's my personal opinion. Please, I'm not attacking anybody. I think a better young adult series than Harry Potter. In book form.
Wow, Sammy's gonna come after you.
It's not a personal attack. It's opinion. It's
good luck with this one, Chris.
You know what? Sell me on this, because I haven't read the Percy Jackson series. I've only heard things about the first movie that people.
Oh yeah, so the movie adaptation is absolutely terrible. But the terrible adaptation, probably one of the worst book adaptations ever. The TV show, however, much better in my opinion, a lot closer. If you just for the books, I liked the books. I preferred the books more. There's a lot more universe to it. I mean, we have 3 different. Basically, Rick Riordan basically took different mythologies for different areas and put them all in his world. So we have Percy Jackson with the Greek, and then we also have Magnus Chase, and we also have Egyptian gods, and we have Norse gods, and we have Egyptian and Greek gods. And they put them all in this world, and at one point they all team up together, and it's really cool. So we have this ultimate bigger universe, which I really enjoy, and I like being able to experience all the different types of gods and just how it would work in modern world. We got Percy Jackson, Perseus, so a very modern version of some of the Greek stuff, Son of Poseidon, and they go to a cool little camp called Camp Half-Blood, where everyone who are demigods go to all these demigods are basically go to this camp, and there's a certain amount of illegal demigods who aren't there's certain gods who aren't allowed to have kids, And so like some demigods have that. It's pretty cool. And and I'm a really huge, big fan of Greek mythology, and I like being able to mix all that stuff together. And so, in my opinion, I mean, I'm not saying Harry Potter is not a good series. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, in my personal opinion, there's just such a large world to explore that I enjoy the world better of Percy Jackson than I enjoy the Hogwarts world. If that makes any sense.
Via is gonna punch you in the
I get
face, Chris. So you got that to look forward to.
Again, I'm not
Just saying.
saying anything. I'm not saying anything bad about Harry Potter. Not saying anything at all.
No,
I love Harry Potter.
She's like, more universe. What about the Fantastic Beasts connecting to the Harry Potter world?
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there is that's like a kind of a prequel series. I'm talking about this was all not like a prequel. This is all just the giant like master universe of books that all connect.
Sammy says, I love Greek mythology in
and so
school. Whoa, Chris.
We have like 15. We have like over 20 books.
How dare you, Chris?
Of material. Yeah, how dare
Wait,
me?
the
Sorry.
series is that large?
Well, because you got to look at, you got what, 7 or like 5 or 6 for the Percy Jackson. Then you have the Magnus Chase series, and you also have the third series. Then you have the mixed series where they all combine and work together. And I think there's a new series that came out in the same universe as well. So it's a very large shared universe of mythologies that come into play.
Okay. That's fascinating, actually. Okay, you sold
Yeah.
me. That's a good sell.
But like I said, the movies are terrible, both of them. TV show, pretty good adaptation. I liked it a lot.
Was that Disney Plus?
Yes.
So this was Disney's way of trying to combat Harry Potter.
Mm-hmm. So then Harry Potter's like, oh well, they're doing a TV show. We're going to do a TV show.
What did Harry Potter do?
Harry Potter's making a TV
They're
show
gonna
on
have a
HBO.
TV show. It's
Are
gonna be
they?
on
They're
HBO.
redoing the series. Yeah.
Oh, they're redoing the series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 7 seasons, 1 season for each year.
Good Lord.
And they're going to try to shoot it, and they're going to try to shoot it right after one right
I
after
don't
the other.
know, man. Daniel Radcliffe's a little old to be playing a young kid now like that. I just don't see it.
No, but I think they should do a stunt casting and cast him as the dad,
Oh my god, that would be kind of
as James Potter,
Or you know what? They save it for the very end.
Yeah.
and do the
They save it
epilogue.
For the epilogue, and then they reshoot the epilogue. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, they got to
Or
keep
they
that IP
do,
alive.
or they do an 8th season and do Cursed Child.
Because by the time they're done, shooting it, they're gonna be about the right ages for the epilogue.
Yeah.
That's when they should bring it full circle.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, they could do an 8th season and do the 8th season as the Cursed Child.
Via says, listen here, I'm not here for Harry Potter slander.
Hey, I'm not slandering Harry Potter. I never said a bad thing about Harry Potter. I never said one thing that said that was bad about Harry Potter.
And they said that that your face looks dumb and your hair's stupid and what you're wearing is stupid and.
Oh, don't be a liar.
No? Okay. All right. Okay. Just throwing that out. It's coming. It's coming eventually, Chris. You've opened the can. Now you're in trouble,
Hey,
buddy.
you know what? I love the Harry Potter books, and when book 6 and book 7 came out, I literally called in sick for a whole week and just read the book nonstop because I didn't want anybody to spoil it. That's how much I liked the books. I'm not saying I
Damn.
dislike Harry Potter.
Okay.
I devoured book 7 within like 12 hours.
And then Sammy says, sounds a lot like slander to me, Chris. You're not going to win, buddy. I'm just saying.
Well, I like
Okay.
Game of Thrones books more than either of the other two.
Whoa, moving on.
I'm not
Here
gonna
we
call that
go.
slander. I mean,
Bonnie, you have another thing you want to mention? Quick.
You know what I do? I'm gonna take this to a little bit more of a fun turn, if you will, since we're still talking a little bit.
Wait.
about...
Let me guess. Can I guess? Can I make
Sure.
a guess? Okay, I'm going to guess with this. How did I guess right? Is it a good guess?
I don't see it. I don't see it yet.
No, it's a sound. It's the noise.
I can't hear.
No? Okay, alright, let me put it up.
I'm done.
I'm putting it up. Here we go. There's the picture. Was that right?
There's a lag.
I hear some drums. Is that what you're playing?
Yeah.
Donald?
Oh, look at that. You're right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, taking a fun little light spin, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
with just a little touch of Polynesian mythology. So yes, the character of Maui from Moana is based on an actual Polynesian legend, myth / demigod, if you will. Although he's not worshipped like a god, he's just revered as a hero. But yeah, there's many different legends and mythologies of the Maui character throughout the Polynesian islands. Each island kind of has different ideas and concepts of him, but there are a few main threads between the islands, which were pretty much covered in Moana. One being that he had a mortal mother and a deity father. And that is why he is demigod, but his mother cast him into the sea when he was born, either because most of them are because he was born premature, and so she cast him into the sea because she didn't think he would live, and then the sea, the ocean, saved him and then rose him to the demigod status. But a couple of the main things that will pop up in each of the different Polynesian islands is that Maui did raise the islands with his fish hook, and that is how we came to get like the Hawaiian Islands or some of the islands in French Polynesia, not all of the Tahitian islands, but and that Maui also he harnessed the sun. Before Maui harnessed the sun, it would kind of come and go as it pleased, right? Sunrise, sunset, whenever. We didn't have this whole 24-hour day cycle. It was kind of all over the place. And so to help the humans, the people of the land, Maui formed a rope out of his own hair and lassoed it around the sun to get the sun to slow down its constant, rising, setting to no end, to make the days longer.
Yeah. That's very nice.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And then
that.
another one was that Maui actually also, similar to the mythology of Atlas, if you will, but Maui also lifted the sky up to give humans more headspace. So that Maui actually lifted the skies so that they were closer to the heavens, and we had a much bigger sky and more room to and whatnot. That's a little bit similar to the mythology of Atlas, carrying the world on his back. There was actually one story that I saw. I can't remember which island it came from. I think it came from Tonga. I could be wrong. But because Maui was being a pillar for the sky and holding the sky up, if he fell asleep and nodded off, that's where earthquakes came from. Because he's holding the sky, and when you nod off, you're falling asleep. And so that's what made the earth tremble, was Maui falling asleep.
Okay.
So a way to get Maui to stay awake and not fall asleep was to stomp on the ground.
Well, maybe we should do it with try that with Kevin. Because Kevin, are you sleeping over there? It looks like you're sleeping.
No, I'm wide awake.
Well, stop anyway.
He's created a cape out of his jacket.
It's warmed up. So I was like, it looks like he's just nice, cozy, just relaxing.
Grandpa
Yeah, I am,
Green.
actually.
It's nice and relaxed. About to nod off. Have a little snooze.
And yeah, one of the other legends of Maui is that Maui is the one who gave fire to people. Again, between the
Interesting.
islands, there's a couple of different ways that happen. but one of the common ones was that he tricked a bird, a mud hen. He tricked a mud hen into giving him the secret of how to make fire so that he could give it to the people, which was friction. It was rubbing sticks together.
Isn't that where that rooster comes into play in Moana? So kind of, so to speak, a little bit.
You know, maybe it was.
It's a little wink and a nod to that, perhaps.
I like that. I like that.
It could have been. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I mean,
I like
it wasn't exactly the most brilliant.
I like that take on where fire came from. I like it better than the Greek take of it, where it being Pericles and the Titan, the Pericles and Zeus arguing over fire, and like Zeus is like, "Well, I'm gonna give them fire," and then Pericles is like, Zeus is like, "We're not gonna do that," and then Pericles gives him fire anyway, and then he gets like tied to a mountain and stuff. I like what the your version better. I like that one a little better.
Yeah,
than
he
the
gets
Greek
tied to the
version.
mountain.
There's another version too that's actually somewhat similar to that, but not quite. Where Maui asked his sister, who was a goddess, for fire to give to the people, and so she gives him one of her nails that he basically plants in the earth, and that creates fire.
Okay.
But it's still. But I think it was that he plants the nail, and that grows the tree that allowed him to create the fire.
Okay.
But yeah, there's so many different stories of Maui. There's a bunch of different Polynesian legends and mythologies just in general.
Mm-hmm.
I only know a small handful, but yeah, it's really interesting and fascinating. It's a good thing to learn about the culture.
I love anything with mythology and like, I don't want to say make believe, but like the creation of ideas of people that they don't know how to scientifically explain it, so they create an elaborate story based on a god. You know, like it'd be like, how does your car run? I don't know, but legend tells of a small mouse sent from Mars that gets inside of your vehicle and uses its powers from the Martian planet to run your combustible engine by giving it firepower or some nonsense. You know what I mean? Like, it gets grander and grander. Well, then how do you stop? Well, that comes from Neptune, you know, and you're like, what? You know, but you can't argue it. You can't argue against it because it's so fanciful and like it's sometimes, I don't know if you guys know this, but sometimes in the real world, if you just make up stuff and it's so ridiculous, sometimes it just hits the right point that nobody can argue against how ridiculous it is. And they can't, like, so they just let it go. You know, it's like, okay, so that's nonsense. But
I used to have when I was teaching high school, like a few years ago, there's a school I was at, and I would, if anyone ever came didn't have an assignment, and if they gave me some kind of crazy mythological story about why they didn't have their homework, I would give them an A for not having their homework. But they'd have to have a story like that, and it'd have to be like unbelievable mythological story about why, like, you know. So
I like that.
Fun. It's fun creating myths. Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly it. The creation of myths are a time-honored tradition. It's something that, you know, that we still do to this day around campfires. And while it might not be a god necessarily, it is a creature or an individual with a hook for a hand, with godlike powers that can't be killed, you know, things like that. It's kind of morphed to fireside tales of people trying to regale themselves and entertain themselves, and that's what's lovable about tales, about mythology, about history, and things like that, and how sometimes they overlap and interweave, because you can tell there's always a loose base of like what was going on at the time to how you can explain this character or that, you know, mythological tale or something. You know, it's always a product of the time that comes about some way or how. And I think the fireside chats and the stories are, our updated version of these types of tales and tales of fancy, which I love. I love that kind of stuff, and I love mythology in general. As far as like anything else, I just want to briefly mention really quickly, because we're gonna wrap this up here shortly. I want to mention that Loki is mentioned, not the girl that works as Paris Heroes. I'm talking about Loki, the god of mischief, the Norse god from the Marvel comic books, which we all know and love. We had grown to very much love over the span of many, many years, particularly with the start of the first Avengers film, where Tom Hiddleston really nailed it home as far as, yes, Loki is a threat. He is a very mischievous person, and he has the power to do many things within the Marvel Universe world. Yes, there's that Loki. Keep in mind, though, that according to, I think it's 94, am I correct on this, Kevin? 1994, there's another version of Loki that came about. I think it was 94. And we are talking about Jim Carrey's version of Loki, a.k.a. The Mask, whereas in the mask that Stanley Ipkiss puts on, the character played by Jim Carrey, imbues him with the powers of Loki, imbues him with the powers to basically become anything and everything his heart desires. What's interesting is within this mask, that I'll see if I can find it here. There we go. A version of the mask, anyway, from the film The Mask, that Loki imbuing that powers upon him. In the comic book series, Stanley Ipkiss was not a hero. Stanley Ipkiss was not an anti-hero. Stanley Ipkiss was a villain and a killer. He was a stone-cold killer. What the mask would do primarily in the comic books is it would make you evil. It would make you want to murder people. And oftentimes, that would coincide with a bad deed that somebody's done or a wrongdoing. It doesn't make that character right for doing that, but it does justify it a little more in our brains when we're reading it or watching it. So they had to mellow it out a little bit more for film, particularly because this was rated PG-13, if I recall at the time, when it came out. That we've got this other version of Loki, which I found to be quite fascinating because we're still dealing within the Norse mythology when it comes to Loki and with the mischief aspect of it, whereas Loki has imbued himself into his spirit into the mask to create some more form of mischief, whether that is playful mischief or pure menacing mischief of an undeniable murderous vengeance that's brought forth upon people. Either way, you've got this kind of stuff happening, and I love it. I love all of it. Norse mythology is also very high up for me on the mythological scale when it comes to tales and stories, and you get Odin, you get Thor, you get Loki, you get all that fun stuff, and it just Marvel just happened to latch onto those characters and do them right before anybody else. So that's why it's ingrained that those characters are part of that world. Hercules, for example, is another one that Marvel has done extremely well, whereby the only other Hercules that we find to be of note would be Kevin Sorbo's Hercules from the Legendary Journeys from the television series, or from the much-loved Disney cartoon film and later series called, of course, Hercules. So there we go.
Hercules.
Yes, absolutely.
One last one.
Sure.
The Force and One Ring, and the One Ring.
So we're going back to Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, there's a picture of like the ring, the One Ring.
Okay, gotcha. All right,
I see.
Then
the Force, like it's one of Luke Skywalker or Yoda or both, whatever the case may be.
Okay, so let me ask you something really quick then, Kevin. While I'm looking this up, I guess the
There it
Force. Where's the Force on here? Do you have it?
Yeah, there's 2 pictures there of the Force with Skywalker or Yoda.
Okay. Well, I'll keep looking. But anyway,
Yeah.
my question for you is the Force. Okay, so we see the Force when we are originally introduced to the Force. We're introduced with it from like this mysterious level, right?
Yeah, it's a mystical energy field.
Yeah. So we look at it from a much okay, it's under Luke Skywalker. Okay, I got you. Sometimes you make me work for this. So Luke Skywalker. So we see the Force kind of as a force, no pun intended, for good. Now with the ring, right? Didn't you find like, okay, so Peter Jackson did this so well when he's like, put it into the fire, throw it into the fire, you know, and he throws the envelope into the fire with the ring in it, knowing full well that flames would expose the One Ring. And all of us just holding our breath when he's like, it's quite cool. Go ahead, Frodo. And he puts it in his hands, right? And Frodo's looking at it, and he's like, no, it's fine. And then, like, you see, like, Gandalf, he turns, and you see this sigh of relief come over him. And then you hear Frodo go, no, wait. Yeah. And then you see pure terror start to wash over Ian McKellen's face as he turns. And Frodo holds the ring, and you start to see the wording. There's wording inside of the ring, or on the outside of the ring. Two completely different ways of telling of something that, in a way, is very similar. Am I correct on this? It's awe-inspiring how people can be so creative within the narrative and within storytelling. So go ahead, I'm sorry, but I just thought that was so cool.
Yeah, kind of gets that. Like the ring, I don't believe the ring in of itself is evil. It's just the fact that it has such a corrupting, power that
there you
people just don't know how to control themselves. Because it basically represents ultimate power, absolute power. And so if you can't handle it, then yeah, it's just going to drive you crazy. And I think that's the big issue with that one ring. The one ring to rule them all. And the Force itself, if not balanced properly, can also corrupt you and make you do dark things or want to go down that dark path. So it's kind of similar to Taoism, to balance out the light and the dark within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I see it is, and like in real life, we all have darkness within ourselves, but sometimes we just have to acknowledge it for what it is, accept it, but just don't let it overcome you and overwhelm you.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that over time? Okay, so the ring over time it wore down Frodo to the point where it basically killed him, where he was done. It took him body and soul. Do you see the Force ultimately doing that to somebody? Because like Luke Skywalker never seemed to have been that way in the films, but if you read the novelization, he does take a turn. So do you think that? Like that there's a similarity there as well, that eventually like anybody that has the Force is going to eventually lose out to the evil?
No, not necessarily. It's just about balance, making not letting yourself lose it. Now some people do a great job, they stay in the light. Some people can even tap into the dark side a little bit and still stay relatively in the light. And some people just the dark side is just so powerful. It's like, what, I'm going all the way, and they don't care.
Mm-hmm. Sammy says Kevin's just basically saying he's evil.
Well, we all have evil. Yes, I do. I am evil in some ways. Yes, I am. In some ways, I am. I just have to learn how to balance out the evil with the good. That's all. Yeah.
It's like when you punch a kitten, but then you hand a bottle of water to a homeless person.
You know what? That would be a good example. But of course, I would never do that. I'd never punch a kitten.
No?
No, I would never do that.
Kevin Green, kitten puncher.
I would never.
I'm gonna get a shirt made for you. It's gonna say Kevin underneath it. It's gonna say kitten puncher. It's gonna have like a poor cat getting punched in the face.
No, I never do that.
That's gonna be for Christmas for you, buddy.
No punching.
Hope you enjoy. Yeah, Sean McGean says they should make a film about the Inklings, the literary group, of course. Yeah, C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, and who else was involved there? There was, I think, one or two others. They would meet all the time and discuss stuff. Oftentimes to the point where it almost felt like one was trying to take the other's idea and spin it. So I wonder from a standpoint, from a bystander standpoint, if that was a topic or a practice that they had, that they would meet up and they're like, okay, so for next week we all, because I did this in theater class, we all need to write a short story about a flight of stairs. And so all of us went home over the weekend in theater and in our class in college, and we all wrote a story based on a flight of stairs. And some of it, like one of them, like one guy I remember particularly, there's a dead person at the bottom of the steps. And there's two people at the top of the stairs, and they're like discussing how they're going to get out of this. So you have that. And then I wrote one where it's two older men, and they're climbing a staircase, and they're regaling themselves with tales of what they did in their youth. So, there were so many different versions of these stairs. So I'm wondering, with the Inklings, if they, had that type of practice, that type of, why don't we all write a story where there's an evil, lord involved and the devil takes, what I mean? C.S. Lewis, I think, got a little more on the nose, per se, when it came to evil, more so than Tolkien. But Tolkien definitely had a very fanciful way of telling that as well. So I always found that interesting, and I always wondered if they had those types of practices that they would do, type of brain teasers that they would be involved in. And Sammy said no one but Donald. Well, what are you going to do? The Grey, too. Don't forget about the Grey when you're discussing yin and yang and the Force and stuff like that. I know that we've talked about this, but Darth Maul is very much a Grey character. He sees the light and the dark within the Force and recognizes that as if you go too far, you could be complete evil, and if you go to the other way, you can oftentimes be taken advantage of. And he was a character that definitely did not want to be taken advantage of, but also did not want people to, for me, he was always like, well, if we kill everybody, who's going to be my servant? That kind of thing. I always thought that Darth Maul was kind of a very clever Grima Wormtongue, a stronger Grima Wormtongue, in other words. Which is interesting because in the movie, he never really even say a word in the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, he had a few words.
Did he? Have maybe two?
No, he didn't. I don't remember him speaking at all.
Yes, he did. He had a couple lines. You remember the part when he was talking to Darth Sidious at that tower? He's like, at last, we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last, we will have revenge.
You're right.
Wait, he also talks in what, Solo, is it?
Yeah, Solo.
Yeah.
And in the Clone Wars. And
the
Rebels.
The animated world is where he really comes alive. Yeah.
It's like Count Dooku. And he has an animated world. You see more of him there, too.
Yeah, I was always interested in Count Dooku. Actually, I was always interested in whether I would care about him. Because after watching the first 3 Star Wars films, I did not give a shit about Count Dooku. I did not, I didn't care at all. Lived or died, he just was an irrelevant character to me. I did not care. So I always wondered if they because I never watched all the Clone Wars, so I never known if they fleshed that out so much.
Oh, they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did? You watched all the...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, well, maybe I need to go back. It's just a long investment. And then there's Tardowski's Clone Wars, which I believe they
Clone
now...
Wars is really good.
Yeah, they...
Rebels, I mean.
Yeah, Roll Rebels is fantastic. But I'm talking about the other Clone Wars. I think they officially rolled that into canon. And they said that that's part of Star Wars canon now, too. So now I have to go back and watch that as well if I'm going to watch the others. So it's I don't. The Star Wars timeline is so confusing. Like you do have to look it up online. You have to look it up to see where each thing lands. So if you want to watch it chronologically, good luck.
Well, you have to do that just to watch. You have to do that just to watch Clone Wars because they didn't air the episodes in order.
Good Lord, what?
Chronologically, yeah. You have to, like, there's a special order you have to watch it in chronological order.
Okay, that's fun. Let's see. Sean McGinn says, speaking of light, dark, and myth type stuff, if a new Gods film ever gets made, should it homage Star Wars since Lucas kind of ripped off Jack Kirby in the first place? Yeah, I don't see why we can't get a wink and a nod. You know, like something, a little smart aleck kind of remark or something. I think it would be cute and also be like, you know, like, there we go. You know, we did it right. Mom says, son, I really enjoy the live shows. All of you are so impressive and knowledgeable. Oh, thank you, Mom. And
thank you.
The way I always tell everybody, if you don't know it fully, just make up the rest. So there we go.
So basically, fake it before you make it.
Yeah. Anything else anybody wants to bring up before we wrap this up, guys?
Not anything that would be fast.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and for listening. This was another one of those ideas where we thought let's get a little bit more involved rather than just always constantly talking about one thing or another or something. We're kind of delving a little deeper and stuff and trying to give a little more variety as well. So if you like these, like we did this week and last week with It's So Damn Hot, let us know. And if there's other particular topics you'd like for us to cover, let us know. Reach out to us. You can always, if you have my business card, you can always text me. You can always email us at, what is our email? It's the real short box at gmail.com.
Gmail, I believe.
Yeah. You can reach out to us there. You can also reach out to us on Instagram. You can reach out to us on Twitter. And we have a Facebook group as well. So I hope everybody takes the time to do that. Thank you, JR, for being here. Appreciate you. Thank you, Enrique. Jason, it's always good to have you on. Enrique, it's always good to have you on. It's always good to have everybody on. So I always appreciate you all.
Doug.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great evening. And perhaps if you're feeling thirsty, you may want to
enjoy a fantastical, fabled, but always legendary Rumble Pop.